Maybe don't know.
This time, next time to build. This 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 time power. This time to build power. This time to build power. This time to build power.
You should probably just try harder. How often do you give 100%? Really give 100%? I make my living coaching climbers, and I seldom see a climber try their hardest, myself included. I like things to feel easy. I want it to look smooth, effortless. Not long ago, I realized I hadn't had to fight for a single route the entire season. I chose routes that were easy enough to not require a battle, or I worked the more difficult ones into submission until it was harder to make a mistake than it was to send. I got soft. Bouldering always felt hard for me. I could do V9 in a few tries, but not V10. Why? I just wasn't trying hard enough. I spent my next training season almost solely on an 8-foot-tall wall where all of my projects took maximum effort just to pick my ass up off the pads. Simply creating momentum was reason to celebrate, but the hate crimping required for every problem brought back the game face. I sent 3 gym problems that season. 3. 15 total moves over 12 weeks. It hurt my fingers and it hurt my feelings. Those 15 moves asked more of me than any of the thousands of moves I had done on any route I had climbed. A few weeks later, I sent my first V10. It didn't go perfectly. I had to battle. A few weeks later, I did another. Still another fight. I actually punched myself in the jaw during the top out, but that's another story. More followed. Across the country, the season is imminent. The training you've done the past few months will be put to test. While you're in the gym waiting for the weekend and that next time outside, I urge you to spend some time working on trying hard. Really hard. Are you giving 100%? Or are you dropping off because you didn't have the hold just right? Be honest with yourself. It feels great to float something difficult, but it feels just as good to battle through errors, bad decisions, and failing fingers to find yourself standing on top.
Short version, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Frohmiller, Cincinnati climber. Climbing about 16 or 17 years. Old climbing partner of Chris's and Taylor.
I think anybody who's
He's
listened to
pointing
the
at himself
podcast
right
has
now.
heard your names at some point, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Whether it's on this one or you accusing us of wrecking your car and car
On the Enormocast.
on the Enormocast, yeah.
My first
That's
time on there.
That's my claim to fame, is being accused of wrecking your car. But yeah, that's me.
Okay. Taylor?
I'm the other half of this duo again. Rock climber, been climbing for 15 years from Cincinnati, and you'll probably see me around the red if you come there.
Or here.
Does it make you two feel old to say you've been climbing for 15 years?
Yes.
No, I love it.
It makes me feel old.
I just hit my 25th year anniversary, I don't know, a month ago.
Whoa. That's like when people retire
I know.
from a job.
It's absurd, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm actually glad, Sarah, that you have this topic. There's one moment in climbing with you that I think back on pretty often that really exemplifies this you should just try harder kind of a ethos, this feeling. And I don't know if it was even like a big moment in your climbing or not, but it was you doing John Wayne, I think is the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
At Wild Iris. And it's notoriously difficult for the grade. It's a techie sort of a climb. Lots of tech masters have called it 13B, even though it got 12D in that guide. And you had fallen off of it several times that day, and it had started sprinkling. It was starting to rain. And you went up again anyway, skipping a bolt, which is
Yes.
terrifying to do at Wild Iris to begin with.
At the top.
So you're skipping a bolt in the rain, sending one of the hardest routes you'd ever done. And for me, that was just one of those moments where I felt proud of it, because I had, been a part of you coming into your own as a sport climber. And I felt in awe of it, because it's so easy to give up when all those things are kind of stacking up against you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of those weird, and I'm a pretty, emotional climber, even if it doesn't show, outwardly, but that was one of those weird kind of moments where I was just I don't even know if I felt confident, but I was just fuck it. I'm just gonna go, because if I don't do it now, I think we were kind of nearing the end of our trip.
Mm-hmm.
That might have actually been the last day. And I was I was kind of hemming and hawing about going again. And I was you know what? If I don't try, then I'm going to end the trip oh, I got rained out. Or, if I wait any longer, then it's going to get worse. And I don't have any more opportunities. And I was I kind of had let all of the pressure go in a way.
Yeah.
I was just I don't have anything to lose. We're leaving. It's going to rain. I'm just going to try it. And really, really try it. And I was a little bit shocked, not gonna lie, when I got to the top. I don't think I meant to skip that last bolt. I think I was just a little bit too excited to think about it. Glad I didn't fall up there. But yeah, and actually it's funny, when I was kind of looking through the options, I have a distinct memory of, and I'm sure this isn't when the concept first came to you, but I remember us climbing in the gym, actually, and it was kind of the beginning of the actually focused training season for us. So we'd kind of been climbing casually in the gym together, but now we were okay, it's August, this is get serious time. Mm-hmm. And we were climbing on the 40-degree wall at Rockwest, and you were talking about how something that you wanted to focus on that year was just really actually trying. And we were sitting there, and it would blew my mind, because I was because I tried it that night. I was what is he talking about? We try hard all the time, but it's this kind of different zone that your ego goes away, your showmanship goes away. You're just not worried about what it looks like, what anybody's thinking, not worrying about conserving, which I think as a Red River climber is something that's really hard to do. And I find even to this day, I struggle with oh, well, I can't try that hard, or then I'm not going to have enough gas to do the, next 80 feet of this rock climb. But that night, I, for the first time, think that I actually tried 100% on a move. And I was shocked at the things that I could do. I was oh my God, you can do hard shit if you really fucking just bear down and try hard.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And I think you actually are better, or certainly were then, than I was at giving that intense, singular effort. I felt at the time that I was really good at giving extensive efforts, where I could be pumped, I could be falling off, but I could keep lunging for and latching holds, you know, and just keep climbing, keep believing in it. But when it came to singular, really hard moves, I would quickly get discouraged and move on. Mm-hmm. So that's where the shift kind of came for me. Am I able to access that? I saw Taylor was really good at it. I would see other people in the gym, Aaron Schneider was really good at it. there were a bunch of people in there, and I just couldn't access that place. So that's kind of where it came into play for me. Like I have to learn to access this skill that currently I have no access to at all.
Yeah.
And I think actually the engine room helped a lot in that respect, because the wall was small and we had to really pack the difficulty into a small space,
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and you weren't like, I think it's a different, when your focus is one move or two moves, you're not, like, you're thinking of like the technicalities of the moves themselves, but your mind isn't like bogged down with all of this other stuff. Like, oh, well, then I have to do X, Y, and Z after. And, oh, well, maybe I used a little bit too much energy on that move. It's like, no, you're using all of your energy. And I think it's almost more of like a psychological thing, kind of like we were saying. Like, it's a psychological skill more than it is like a physical. Like, I don't think I like somehow become stronger on a move.
Right.
It's that I'm not holding myself back subconsciously. I'm like purposely putting, it's almost like a power lifter or something, where they're like, no holding back. I am going with the intent of using every ounce of myself to do something. And yeah, like I think maybe boulderers who primarily boulder, this comes a little bit more naturally too, just because of the nature of the climbing. But I think it's a really, really useful skill in sport climbing that doesn't get focused on very much. But I think it can have a huge impact on your climbing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, especially in the red, it doesn't get the focus that it deserves. It does maybe a little more out here where, if you're climbing at Wild Iris, you're doing, 15 moves as an entire route. So it does get a little more attention out here. And a lot of the climbers out here have learned to do that and just take it for granted, whereas in the red, it's kind of the opposite. And, we put a lot of value, Red River climbers and a lot of climbers in general put a lot of value on being able to make something look easy. And that's one of those things that like I really valued when I was learning to climb. And I remember, and tell me if you remember this or not, I remember a time when you made a comment, something like you had watched Taylor and I either warm up or end our day. I think it was end our day on AL8, I believe.
Yeah, that used to be the go-to lap rough climb.
Yeah, and I think you were either working on AL8 at the time or you had just recently done it. And you made this comment about you wanted to be able to finish your day on that. You guys are doing it. Why can't I do it? Kind of thing. And that occurred to me like, oh, I've put so much value on this that she can't tell the difference between my like cool down level and my hard level.
Yeah.
That I've put so much value on making things look easy, and I have to boil things down all the way to the point where it's hard for me to fall off before I send.
Yeah.
That she can't tell the difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that used to be a very typical thing for like those years, especially. Like I remember, because I'm always climbing with you guys when one of you would be up on the wall and you would fall for whatever reason. Now I knew you both well enough to kind of anticipate, but I would often get comments from people like, oh my God, why did they just fall? Like,
right.
Why did nothing looked hard? Like, why did they just fall? And I think it's definitely a very valuable skill to be able to make your climbing look and feel fluid and smooth and like, not be thrutching around for moves. But I think in some ways, if too much emphasis is put on that, which I think is sometimes easy to do, depending on the area where you climb, I think you hold yourself back a little bit. And I don't even know if it's like you're, worried about what other people think about you, or more for yourself, where you're like, oh, well, this needs to be so dialed, so perfect, so easy, so whatever, and before I can be trying hard, that you like don't ever allow yourself to try hard. And I think it kind of slows down that red pointing process a little bit as well.
Oh, it definitely does. If you can't access that real high level effort, scrap your way through, battle your way through, and there were definitely moments when we were all climbing together that, I would realize, oh, I haven't battled this year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking for a battle now. Like, I really want to get on something and have to fight for it. Because I love those battles as much as I love floating something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they both have value for sure. I think trying to get the two things to be closer together is, everybody's goal.
Exactly.
To be able to do to do the Andra battle where you're screaming every other move and clearly trying at that 110% limit, but you're still climbing flawlessly. So I think trying to merge those two things, but I think you have to learn them independently as well first before you can kind of try to combine the two things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely true. And, I said this in the last episode, but that, we did together, but I'll say it again here, that I appreciate those years from you two so much. And, forcing Taylor to get out of bed at 5:30 a.m. so that we could go climbing, and then putting banana peels on his face on the way home when he was asleep in the back seat.
I'm pretty sure that was the catalyst to all of your banana.
Taylor's taking credit.
I'm still giving credit.
So,
I think trying hard is probably like my biggest deficiency. Like, I suck at it so much. Like, I've climbed way harder than I've ever tried to try. I guess I've tried and failed miserably by like the third bolt of on-sighting. Like, I just suck at it for some reason. Actually, it's a goal of mine this year to be better at it. Do you think you're better at one type of effort over the other, extensive versus intensive?
Extensive for sure.
Yeah, I guess it's extensive. No, I think
Taylor's the long hauler. He's the pumped.
Yeah, but I don't like to scream my way up a route to the jug. I find myself that the sweet spot for me is like, if I whittle a route down and I siege it, which I'm probably the best skill of mine, and then kind of when all the stars align and you get to that move and you have that extra 5 to 10% that you need, and I can dig deep then, and that for some reason I just have a hard time channeling that faster and on easier routes, to be honest. You perceive things or you're like, well, it shouldn't be hard, but I'm flamed, so I'm just gonna give up.
Yeah, I've always thought that maybe I sort of envied the position Sarah was in during those years, because I like being in the position of, trying to catch up is the wrong word, but, having something to strive for. And I envied that she got to see people do things that felt hard for her. I'm talking about like you're not even here, Sarah.
Okay.
That felt hard for you. You get to see people do them easily and
know that that's possible.
Know that it's possible, and to have things that you can get on, and they might feel really fucking hard, but you can be like, yeah, but I just saw somebody do it really easy. Yes. So I know I can do that, you know?
Oh, and I was definitely, as much as, anybody who knows Taylor has a special appreciation for me, I was definitely very spoiled during that time as well, that I had
You still are.
I had two people who very often were warming up on my projects, and I never had to hang draws. And and in some ways, you caught on to this very quickly, Chris, and then took it away from me, where I would be, I could be spoon-fed beta, and even up there to, help with your warm-up or your cool-down or whatever, you would do a section, 5 different ways to see what way would work best for me. And, if that had continued, my ability to do that for myself would have been even worse. But, it was really great to be able to see someone, and I still make Taylor do this in the gym sometimes, like, hey, go climb that boulder, just so I can like see what your body looks like and see like where your hips are and how you do, X, Y, and Z. And to have that ability, I think helped me like kind of not skip a couple steps, but move through a few steps faster than I would have if I didn't have that, if I had to just go in blind and figure it out for myself. Or, and for people who are the strongest in their crew, who don't always have, somebody to watch or somebody to listen to or whatever, I think it just takes a little bit more concerted effort and a little bit more thinking outside the box. But, I don't think I've certainly haven't, improved as quickly since, our little crew dissipated, as I did in those few years. It was just like one after the next after the next. And with your encouragement of like, no, this is hard, but you can do it, and encouraging me to just try hard,
Yeah. We have a really close buddy. He's our new third amigo. And he's breaking into the 513s. I guess I shouldn't say breaking in. He's smashing them. But his ability to get on a route, and it doesn't matter. I'm like, God damn it, he's going to fall at the third bolt. And
no, and then the fourth bolt, and then the fifth bolt, and then the sixth bolt.
Yeah.
He just gets on the wall and is laser focused and just tries hard. Yeah. And it pays off for him all the time. Like he did Convicted Saturday, and the first pitch was going bolt to bolt up A8, and he comes down and then just crushes it. And I'm like, oh my God, the math just doesn't add up. Like you need to warm up, man. And he just gets on the wall, comes with a plan, and just tries hard. Always. And I love climbing with him because I'm like, if I can embody 10% of this, I will go far.
Well, and it's like, no matter if something goes wrong or if beta gets screwed up, it's not like an immediate excuse to give up. And that's, I think that's kind of the other side of the coin of the trying 110%. It's don't immediately have an excuse to give up. Like, sure, you grabbed the wrong hold, or you hit it at the wrong angle, or your foot popped or whatever. Like, that's not a reason to just say like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to give up. Because then unless you've learned something, you've wasted that effort that you did put, even if it was just 95%, when who knows, like you could have kept going. And he really shows us that, in that he just keeps going and often gets a reward for it.
Yeah. And it's so important to see that at work, because how much better would he be if he could also, tap into some of the type of flow that Taylor finds? How much better would Taylor be if Taylor could tap into that, try hard, even though things are falling apart? Ideally, we all end up with a bigger bag of skills because of each other.
And I think it's super important to surround yourself with people that, are better than you in some way. Doesn't matter if they climb harder than you or not, or just, if they have a better skill set in some area, just learn from them constantly and, try to emulate them as much as you can.
Yep, totally. Well, I'm glad you two are still getting out there. I'm glad you're spreading the word and, keeping the flame alive out there.
Yeah, we're still after it. We took a lull a couple years ago, but after Sarah got out of school, we were pretty much after it again.
Well, we were missing our third amigo. We had no direction.
Well, I know how it goes. There are days I feel like that here. So I'm looking forward to getting out with you both again before long. So
for sure. Yeah, it was great to chat.
Yeah, thank you both. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, you didn't punt. We don't tweet. We scream like eagles.
This time, this time.